Kraj studenoga 2016. Novi predsjednik Sjedinjenih Američkih Država Donald Trump stiže u Bijelu kuću na razgovor s predsjednikom na odlasku Barackom Obamom. To je njihov prvi susret. Jonathan Karl, dopisnik američke televizijske postaje ABC News, 20 godina akreditiran pri Bijeloj kući, među rijetkim je novinarima koji prisustvuju primopredaji dužnosti.
He did not think he was going to win. Nobody thought he was going to win, including Donald Trump. And what I noticed as soon as I walked in that room in the Oval Office, he had just spent an hour hearing from the President of the United States, the outgoing president, all that he was going to face, the most difficult challenges he was going to inherit. And I think that it finally dawned on him that, yes, he won this election that nobody thought he was going to win, and he just seems a little bit almost like he's freaked out by his surroundings. Oh my God, what did I just do? What am I up against now? It blew me away. I took note of it, and I never saw that side of Donald Trump again.
U manje od 4 godine politički debitant prometnuo se u vođu autoritarnog, nepredvidivog i provokativnog nastupa. Njegova strategija ili priopsesija odlučivati samostalno. Rezultat podijelio je Ameriku, posvadio se s Europom i Kanadom, objavio rat medijima i okolišu, te smijenio ili natjerao na ostavku svojih 37 glavnih suradnika. Među njima i Johna Boltona i Antonija Scaramuccija.
Donald Trump comes in at 11 o'clock in the morning, looks around, says, "What's up for today?" He didn't read the presidential daily brief. It was very hard to communicate information to him or that he seemed to retain it.
He won't read a document or learn about something. He is making the assumption that he knows way more about something than he actually does.
The question is, does he function the way a president of the United States needs to function? And the answer is he does not.
He is the White House press secretary. He is the White House communications director. He is the chief of staff. He is the national security advisor. He is driving all of this.
I think this goes back in part to his view that it's his gut reaction to things that served him well in his business career, at least that was his view, and would serve him well as president.
He wants everybody to fall in line around him, but he is searching from time to time for honest opinion.
Well, he spends a lot of time on the telephone with friends. The problem here is the president would hear from people who know absolutely nothing about a particular issue.
He is not somebody who is the product of his advisors. Donald Trump is Donald Trump.
4. veljače 2020. Tradicionalno godišnje obraćanje predsjednika SAD-a Kongresu Trump triumfalno pretvara u kampanju. Veličanje sebe u punom smislu te riječi dočekano je ovacijama republikanaca. Toga dana je, čini se, osigurao put do novoga mandata.
Tonight I stand before you to share the incredible results. Jobs are booming, incomes are soaring, poverty is plummeting, crime is falling, and my fellow Americans, the best is yet to come. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
Donald Trump zna da će ga sutradan Senat osloboditi krivnje na suđenju pokrenutom 16. siječnja 2020. za zloporabu ovlasti i ometanja rada Kongresa. Optužen je za stvaranje pritiska na ukrajinskog predsjednika da otvori istragu o sinu Joea Bidena. Biden mu je dakako očekivani suparnik na sljedećim predsjedničkim izborima. No suđenje donosi bolan poraz njegovim protivnicima. Nakon što se odbio rukovati s njome, demokratska predsjednica zastupničkog doma Nancy Pelosi pred kamerama i pred očima cijeloga svijeta poderala je kopiju Trumpova govora.
I think that's the most impressive thing about Trump. He's like flame retardant, meaning they're hitting him with 2,000 gallons of flamethrower gasoline trying to burn him in effigy, and he's still walking around. I mean, it's unbelievable.
He has been lucky. For 3.5 years of his presidency, there were no major challenges. Things were working pretty smoothly. No major wars. The impeachment process had failed. And I think he had a pretty good shot of getting reelected.
Pred Trumpom je, čini se, svjetla budućnost, no neočekivani događaj stavit će tu budućnost pod upitnik. 6. veljače 2020. dan nakon oslobođenja američkog predsjednika od optužbi, svijet doznaje za smrt liječnika Li Wenlianga u Wuhanu u Kini. Peking ga je bio optužio za širenje lažnih glasina o pojavi novog virusa. Od prosinca 2019. pokušavao je upozoriti kineske vlasti na ozbiljnost misteriozne bolesti.
The handling of the coronavirus outbreak by Donald Trump, by our president, has been a disaster. From the beginning, he has denied that it's ever going to hit the United States.
And he didn't want to hear anything that might indicate trouble for the American economy, which he saw as his ticket to re-election.
Donald Trump has been referring to this virus as a hoax by the Democrats.
This is their new hoax. They tried the impeachment hoax. That was on a perfect conversation. They tried anything. They tried it over and over. They've been doing it since she got in. It's all turning. They lost.
What is distinctive that Donald Trump has brought to American politics is name-calling, lying, and pandemic ignorance.
The virus will not have a chance against us. No nation is more prepared or more resilient than the United States.
And day after day, Trump comes to the White House and people think, well, he's going to change now. He's really going to focus on this. He's going to bear down. He's going to make sure there's a coordinated strategy. And it never happens.
We have it under control. It's going to be just fine.
Okay. President Xi, there's just some talk in China that maybe the transparency isn't everything that it's going to be. Do you trust that we're going to know everything we need to know from China?
I do. I have a great relationship with President Xi. We just signed probably the biggest deal ever made.
He didn't want to hear bad things about Xi Jinping. He didn't want to hear that the Chinese were lying about the extent of the medical consequences.
John Bolton prisustvovao je razgovoru Donalda Trumpa i kineskog predsjednika Xi Jinpinga tijekom samita u Osaki. Trump na opće iznenađenje izjavljuje da odustaje od plana nametanja novih carinskih poreza na uvoz kineske robe u SAD.
We're in that meeting with Xi Jinping in Osaka. He's going to make sure to have the Chinese buy more agricultural products because that would help him to win the farm state votes. That's what his focus is on. He was clearly asking for a foreign government's help. I'm very confident that's exactly what Trump said. Those are things I think people should know and what Trump is really like.
He has been in denial mode, and so he has denied it all through January and February. Then in March, when we could no longer deny the virus was here.
Koronavirus odnosi prvi život na američkom teritoriju u okolici Sjetla. Nedugo zatim 30-godišnja žena umire u New Yorku. Stječe se dojam da se virus širi Amerikom. Dr. Fauci, ravnatelj Nacionalnog instituta za alergije i zarazne bolesti, ubrzo postaje simbol borbe protiv koronavirusa u SAD-u. Upitan zašto šuti kada Donald Trump iznosi pogrešne činjenice na konferencijama za novinare, odgovara: ne mogu zgrabiti mikrofon i izgurati predsjednika.
How much worse we'll get will depend on our ability to do two things: to contain the influx of people who are infected coming from the outside, and the ability to contain and mitigate within our own country.
To keep new cases from entering our shores, we will be suspending all travel from Europe to the United States for the next 30 days.
13. ožujka Trump potpuno mijenja priču. Umjesto minimiziranja ozbiljnosti virusa sada se postavlja kao ratni vođa, odlučan smrbiti novoga neprijatelja Amerike.
New actions were taken in our very vigilant effort to combat and ultimately defeat the coronavirus. We've been working very hard on this. We've made tremendous progress. To unleash the full power of the federal government in this effort today, I am officially declaring a national emergency.
Svi kafići, restorani, kazališta, kinodvorane i trgovine zatvaraju vrata. Uz dvije iznimke, otvorene ostaju trgovine živežnih namirnica i oružja. Pandemija nagoni ljude na mahnitu kupnju oružja i streljiva. U većini američkih država prodaja oružja eksplodira, 5 je puta veća nego inače. Donald Trump potvrđuje da je popustio zahtjevima nacionalne udruge NRA, moćne skupine lobista za uporabu oružja. Do početka godine NRA je prikupila $30 milijuna za financiranje predsjednikove nove izborne kampanje.
It's too bad. It's too bad because we never had an economy as good as the economy we had just a few weeks ago.
Do sad je većina mrtvačnica pretrpana tijelima preminulih od koronavirusa. Kamioni hladnjače rekvirirani su za pohranu tijela koja mrtvačnice ne mogu primiti. Djelatnici u zaštitnim odijelima gomilaju žrtve virusa COVID-19.
And I'd like to just ask and caution that the media, we would respectfully ask the media and politicians and everybody else involved not do anything to incite a panic, because there's no reason to panic at all.
The coronavirus is very much under control in the USA. It's going to disappear. It's like a miracle. It will disappear. March 4th, we have a very small number of people in this country infected. March 10th, we're prepared. We're doing a great job with it. It will go away. Just stay calm. It will go away. What do you say to Americans who believe that you got this wrong?
That's why CNN is not trusted anymore. They are not trusted. They are fake news. Remember that. Go ahead.
Jim Acosta, CNN-ov dopisnik iz Bijele kuće, trn je u oku Donalda Trumpa još od njihove nezaboravne svađe na temu imigracije 2 godine prije.
You know, he was referring to immigrants in all sorts of derogatory ways, in ways that presidents of the United States had not done in the past. And, you know, I wanted to challenge the president on that. Hundreds and hundreds of miles away. That's not an invasion.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question. Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President,
that's enough. I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Go ahead. Well, when you report fake news, when you report fake news, which CNN does a lot, you are the enemy of the people. Go ahead.
So there it is. He basically called me the enemy to my face on national television.
I think Jim Acosta is a very unprofessional man. I think he does this with everybody. He gets paid to do that. You know, he gets paid to burst in. He's a very unprofessional guy.
I look at my phone and it says that my press pass has been suspended.
When you're in the White House, this is a very sacred place to me. This is a very special place. You have to treat the White House with respect. You have to treat the presidency with respect.
And from that point forward, they had essentially put a bullseye on my head. I would get death threats or threatening messages on almost a daily basis on social media. And one of these tweets that Cesar Sayoc posted, attached to it was a photograph of a decapitated goat's head. And what we would find, he was tweeting on Twitter saying things like, Acosta, you're the enemy of America, you're next.
Trump na Twitteru objavljuje da će svakoga ponedjeljka dodijeliti priznanje za najbolju lažnu vijest najnepoštenijim i najkorumpiranijim novinarima i medijima prethodnog tjedna.
Like, what is going on in this country where I'm going to a political rally and I have 4 or 5 bodyguards surrounding me to make sure nobody takes a swing at me or nobody takes a shot at me?
There are many people in the press that are unbelievably dishonest. They don't cover stories the way they're supposed to be. They don't even report them in many cases if they're positive. So there's tremendous, I came up with the term, fake news.
It's a real shame to me that the United States government, that the White House, that the president and his team would be using that kind of rhetoric. The kind of rhetoric that puts a bullseye on our backs, puts people's lives in jeopardy. I have kids. I have a family. Other reporters, other journalists, photographers, and so on who are going to these rallies, they have families. Does the President of the United States really understand what he's doing?
I have had Donald Trump go after me in rather personal and intense ways publicly before the television cameras, calling me bleeping nasty guy.
Oh, you didn't tell me that. Oh, I see. You didn't tell me that, John. Thank you for telling me that. See, there's a typical fake news deal.
You asked me when she was appointed. I told you when she was appointed.
You're a third-rate reporter, and what you just said is a disgrace, okay?
U New Yorku širenje koronavirusa izmaknulo je kontroli, kako bi se rasteretile pretrpane mrtvačnice, tijela koja nisu preuzeli članovi obitelji, gradske vlasti odlučuju pokapati na otoku u sjeveroistočnom Bronxu. Tijekom nadrealne konferencije za novinare, Donald Trump propagira bijelilo kao lijek od koronavirusa.
And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do, either through the skin or in some other way. And I think you said you're going to test that too. Sounds interesting. Right, and then I see the disinfectant, where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number on the lungs. So it'd be interesting if you could. And maybe you can, maybe you can't. Again, I say maybe you can, maybe you can't. I'm not a doctor. You're going to have to use medical doctors with, but it sounds interesting to me. So we'll see. But the whole concept of the light, the way it kills it in 1 minute, that's pretty powerful.
You've got to be careful when you say fairly effective. It was never done in a clinical trial. They compared it to anything.
Even a child would know that you don't inject a disinfectant into your body.
And the problem with that is that he's the President of the United States. People actually believe him when he says those things. And what we have seen is that there are people who have tried to ingest bleach and have gotten sick or even died. People like Dr. Fauci didn't resign despite Donald Trump talking about injecting bleach.
We put somebody very abnormal in a very, very important job. And so what happens is you're sitting there, and I did this. I said, okay, this guy can't be this batshit crazy. I mean, there's no way. I mean, he made it to the presidency. And so you're trying to hyper-normalize him. And you're trying to say, okay, let's gaslight. He says X, Y, Z. Let's tell people he's just kidding, all that nonsense. But he's not kidding. He's actually crazy.
25th Amendment writers never anticipated that we would have a psychopath as president who would have to be removed for psychological reasons. He is fundamentally different from normal human beings. Fundamentally different. He's a psychopath or a sociopath. And in that way, it would be just as accurate to describe him as a predator, but even that isn't severe enough. He's evil. I mean, this is not a technical term.
Na krovu zgrade na Times Square-u, opustilom zbog pandemije, njujorški umjetnik instalirao je sat koji broji američke živote izgubljene zbog Trumpova lošeg upravljanja epidemiološkom krizom.
So you're talking about 2.2 million deaths, 2.2 million people from this. And so if we can hold that down, as we're saying, to 100,000, it's a horrible number. Maybe even less, but to 100,000. So we have between 100 and 200,000. We all together have done a very good job. But 2.2 up to 2.2 million deaths, and maybe even beyond that, I'm feeling very good about what we did last week.
Is someone who cares nothing for the well-being or even the life of others and only for their own benefit. And that's Donald Trump, as he's shown throughout.
He doesn't really have any sense of empathy for others. He doesn't care about the American people. What he cares about is himself.
I think wearing a face mask as I greet presidents, prime ministers, dictators, kings, queens, I don't know, somehow I don't see it for myself.
Dužnosnici francuske vlade optužili su Trumpovu Ameriku za preotimanje pošiljki zaštitnih maski koje su naručili i već su bile ukrcane na avion za Francusku. Američki kupci pojavili su se na mjestu događaja, platili dvostruko i preuzeli maske. Amerika na prvome mjestu pod bilo koju cijenu.
From this day forward, it's going to be only America first.
Of course, there's a history to that phrase. I don't know if it's a history that the president really understands, but America first was the movement that opposed U.S. involvement in World War II. So America First were those that thought that it was a mistake to go to war against Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan.
He has a perverse view about America. His vision for America is a negative, dark, dystopian vision.
It's so strange to watch the president interact with our European allies, our historic allies, our closest allies diplomatically, economically, to see the president of the United States, in a sense, treat our European allies as adversaries. And he's very aggressive. He's had, with the French.
We have to make him perfect. He is perfect.
Before we left Washington for the famous summit with Putin in Helsinki, he asked if Finland was part of Russia. I don't think he saw that as a fault or a gap that didn't augur well for American foreign policy.
The low point of the Trump presidency and foreign policy was probably in Helsinki, when he met with Vladimir Putin and said, "Did you interfere in the American election?" The entire American intelligence community said, "Yes, they interfered, and here's how, and here's who did it." And Putin said, "No, I didn't do it." And Trump came out and said, "Well, I can either believe Putin or my own intelligence community, and I choose to believe Putin."
They're dying to see us make a little bit of a mistake. They analyze every word. They say, did he say that? Could it have been? Did he say something positive about Russia? I think he loves Russia.
He had better relations with some of the authoritarian leaders. Why is that? The psychiatrist, I'm sure, would have a field day with that. I think it's really because he liked the way the big guys did this. They weren't constrained by legislatures or politics and electoral constraints. So he kind of admired that and liked to show he could do it too, although he knew actually he couldn't.
To demonstrate the frivolousness of the Trump approach to the external world, it would be North Korea.
Trump first come out with, outrageously incendiary rhetoric, seem like you're on the verge of a major war, maybe even a nuclear war.
No nation on earth has an interest in seeing this band of criminals arm itself with nuclear weapons and missiles.
And then grab the guy you were just insulting and say, let's go and have a summit, and be all smiles and acting like, and he even talks about exchanging love letters with Kim Jong-un.
And then we fell in love, okay? No, really. He wrote me beautiful letters, and they're great letters. We fell in love.
The president's reaction was kind of juvenile. It sort of demeans the office of the presidency, so I don't really respond to it.
This is ultimately the Trump show, and he wants to, be the most important person on the world stage.
We came over, and I said, hey, I'm over here. I want to call up Chairman Kim. And we got to meet, and stepping across that line was a great honor. A lot of progress has been made. A lot of friendships have been made, and this has been in particular a great friendship.
He was never willing to acknowledge that Kim Jong-un was just playing, and that we spent 2 years in these chases after Kim Jong-un to have summit meetings and never made any progress on the nuclear front at all.
Experts, and they said, we're going to have to close the country. I said, we've never closed the country before. This never happened before. You're saying, I said, are you serious about this? We are going to take this country that's fully employed, where we have 160 million people working, and you're telling me we have to close it? And people are going to go out of business, and they're going to go bankrupt, and they're not going to have jobs? What are we talking about here?
How long did it take you to accept that new reality?
Well, I accept you're going to lose more people by putting a country into a massive recession or depression. You're going to lose people. You're going to have suicides by the thousands.
Trump se bori protiv raznih guvernera, uključujući njujorškoga koji je u sporu imao zadnju riječ zatvorivši grad. Stanovnici Njujorka naviknuti na prometne zastoje i gužvu prilagođavaju se na novu stvarnost praznih ulica, zatvorenih škola i spuštenih kapaka na prozorima. Zabranjene su sve aktivnosti koje nisu nužne, kao i okupljanja više od 50 ljudi. U međuvremenu diljem Sjedinjenih Država 16 milijuna Amerikanaca suočeno je s nezaposlenošću.
It was a severe outbreak. It was a severe pandemic in New York. They closed things down and they bent that curve. They flattened that curve.
The President of the United States has the authority to do what the President has the authority to do, which is very powerful.
Mnogi guverneri krše pravila karantene. Deseci prosvjednika, često naoružanih, dižu glas protiv restrikcija nametnutih zbog pandemije i traže ukidanje karantena. U nekoliko država, među njima i u Floridi, nisu propisane nikakve mjere. Ljudi šeću rame uz rame u parkovima, a plaže su krcate. Tony Spell, evangelički je pastor crkve Tabernakul života u Baton Rouge u Luizijani. Ignorirao je zabranu okupljanja održavši bogoslužje u svojoj crkvi.
You don't close an entire nation down to keep a virus from spreading. It was an error. Donald Trump should have never listened to the doctors, and he should not have listened to the science. What is the science? No one in my church has died of the virus.
Sjedinjene Države imaju između 50 i 80 milijuna evangeličkih protestanata, oko 25% populacije, 80% njih glasovalo je za Trumpa.
I was arrested at the police station on the parking lot. I was led into a trap. They fitted me with an ankle bracelet like I was a terrorist for refusing to comply with the governor's emergency orders to not have an assembly of more than 10 people. But we never will. Never. He is the first Christian president that we've had in decades. He is a supporter of mine. He is a fan of ours. He promotes what we're doing.
Let's all pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you today and we thank you for this nation that was born in 1776. We pray in 2020 it would be born again. And we humbly ask you to bless our nation and to bless our President, Donald Trump. It needed a fighter and a champion for freedom. And Lord, that's exactly what we have.
Thank you very much. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Most powerful people in the world.
He's the first president to have a spiritual advisor and an evangelical in the White House. Mike Pence is a godly man.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again.
Potpredsjednika Mikea Pencea, fundamentalnog kršćanina, Trump je odabrao uglavnom zbog toga što je na toj poziciji htio konzervativnu i religioznu figuru kako bi osigurao te glasače.
Father, you have given us a gift. President Donald Trump, who wants to bring healing to this country, and we know we have a president who wants to make America good. Amen.
Amen. Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Do you want to be blessed? Do you want to have favor? Yes, I do. Then move the embassy to Jerusalem.
And then the State Department said, no, you'll disrupt things. And Donald Trump, who's a disruptor, so I don't care, and he went ahead and did it.
And we moved the capital of Israel to Jerusalem. That's for the evangelicals. You know, it's amazing with that. The evangelicals are more excited about that than Jewish people.
And he listened. He is a wise president.
Sva veleposlanstva u Izraelu, uključujući veleposlanstvo SAD-a, nalaze se u Tel Avivu, jer nijedna zemlja nije priznala Jeruzalem kao prijestolnicu Izraela nakon aneksije i rata 1967. Preseljenje američkog veleposlanstva izazvalo je velike nemire u regiji.
He saw the entire approach to Israel as almost a re-election strategy. Some of his core supporters, including people like Sheldon Adelstein, were, hardcore pro-Israel, and he gave them staunchest supporters in the United States something that no other president would, which was, moving the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem, basically giving the Israelis a green light on their annexation on the West Banks.
This is an extraordinary voyage. President Trump, Donald, I'm honored to be here today. Thank you.
Bibi Netanyahu has not survived as long as he has. He's had a kind of support that no Israeli leader has had since 1948.
And I think that he had this notion in his head that he would have loved a moment on the world stage where he was, crafting the ultimate deal, peace between the Israelis and the Palestinians.
Without President Trump's determination, resolve, courage, we would not be here today.
Dok Izrael slavi otvorenje američkog veleposlanstva u Jeruzalemu u nazočnosti Trumpove kćeri, izbijaju sukobi između zapadne obale i pojasa Gaze. Izraelska vojska ubija više od 60 palestinskih prosvjednika, pobožno prihvaćajući izjave izraelskog premijera Benjamina Netanyahua o opasnosti koju sporazum predstavlja. Donald Trump povlači SAD iz međunarodnog sporazuma o iranskom nuklearnom programu. Jedan izraelski novinar piše da američki predsjednik prihvatio Netanyahuovu doktrinu kao službenu američku politiku.
Today I am announcing our strategy, along with several major steps we are taking to confront the Iranian regime's hostile actions and to ensure that Iran never, and I mean never, acquires a nuclear weapon.
So if you want to remove this threat to peace and security in the Middle East, and not just the nuclear threat, support of terrorism, conventional military activity in Iraq and Syria, around the region, that regime needs to be removed, and yet he was never willing to do that.
The United States military successfully executed a flawless precision strike that killed the #1 terrorist anywhere in the world, Qasem Soleimani.
Qasem Soleimani, karizmatična i popularna ličnost u Iranu, bio je general bojni korpusa Islamske revolucionarne garde, ideološke vojske Islamske republike Irana.
The killing of General Soleimani, that was probably, could have been a bridge too far, and that could have led to an accidental war. And thank God cooler heads prevailed. So that's an example where a decision by him, supported by some people but not supported by others, could have tripped us into a war-like situation.
For someone like that to hold the nuclear codes of the United States, to be the most powerful man in the world, is, of course, very scary.
I don't think he can sit there in a map room and say, okay, generals, how's it going? This is a country I want to go to war with. Tomorrow I'm going to use the War Powers Act, and I'm going to declare a war or a military intervention in that country. Let's go. I think a lot of people say, let's hold our horses on something like that.
Diljem Sjedinjenih Država COVID-19 uzeo je već 100.000 života. Studenti njujorškog kazališta za izvedbene umjetnosti simbolično postavljaju imitacije vreća s tijelima ispred Trumpova tornja uz natpise poput Trump laže, ljudi umiru. Epidemija razotkriva goleme rasne i socijalne nejednakosti, uključujući one o pravu na liječenje. 70% preminulih bili su Afroamerikanci. Ljudi pustoše banke hrane. Kongres izglasava program interventnih potpora u obliku čekova. Trump, nikada ne propuštajući priliku da preuzme sve zasluge, traži da njegov potpis bude na čekovima koji se šalju potrebitima.
I see your hands.
Damn, man.
Stay in the car. Let me see your other hand.
I'm sorry.
Let me see your other hand.
Please, Mazzotti.
Both hands.
Do nothing.
Put your fucking hands up right now.
Please don't shoot me, man.
I'm not shooting you, man.
Please, man.
25. svibnja u Minneapolisu, Minnesota, Georgea Floyda, oca dviju djevojčica, u automobilu zaustavljaju četvorica policajaca.
I can't breathe. Please, the knee in my dick.
Get in the car.
Mama.
Get up. Get in the car.
Incident su snimili prolaznici upozoravajući da čovjek umire, no policajci ih sprečavaju da interveniraju. Snimke ubrzo dospijevaju na društvene mreže i u televizijske vijesti diljem svijeta. Sljedećih dana burni prosvjedi protiv rasizma i policijskog nasilja praćeni neredima izbijaju u Minneapolisu, a zatim i u ostatku zemlje. Nakon smrti Georgea Floyda, četvrt u kojoj je živio počinju prekrivati murali. Četvrt postaje mjesto hodočašća.
Trump knows how to incite that racist hatred thing that's deep inside of most people, which is inside of his base. People have always hated black people. People come over to this country. It's always been a sentiment of anti-blackness, and Trump, he prospers off that.
Take a knee! Yeah! Yeah!
Nevjerojatan prizor. Policajci kleče zajedno s prosvjednicima. Pridružuju se prosvjedu protiv latentnog rasizma, koji se poput gnojne rane širi između afroameričke zajednice i policijskih snaga u cijeloj zemlji. Smrt Georgea Floyda digla je na noge sve gradove u Americi. Stotine ljudi okupljaju se ispred Bijele kuće. Oko predsjedničke rezidencije policajci postavljaju ogradu i formiraju kordon. Donald Trump bježi iz ureda i više od 1 sat skriva se u bunkeru izgrađenom za slučaj terorističkog napada. Predsjednik Trump traži da se ugase vanjska svjetla rezidencije dok prosvjedi protiv rasizma i policijske brutalnosti nastavljaju bijesniti.
What happened in this city last night was a total disgrace. I am dispatching thousands and thousands of heavily armed soldiers to stop the rioting, looting, vandalism, assaults, and the wanton destruction of property.
It just shows his total disregard for American people to unleash the army, our military forces, into American streets. It's an occupation. It seems like we're heading towards a dictatorship.
U 2 tjedna bogatstvo američkih milijunaša povećava se za gotovo 10%. Ugrubo oko 300 milijardi dolara dobiti. U istom periodu 22 milijuna Amerikanaca prijavljuje nezaposlenost. 1 od 6 afroameričkih radnika gubi posao. 6. lipnja Trump, koji još nije javno osudio ubojstvo Georgea Floyda, saziva konferenciju za novinare kako bi se hvalio postignućima na gospodarskom planu.
This is a great tribute. What we're announcing today is a tremendous tribute to equality. We're bringing our jobs back. Hopefully George is looking down right now and saying this is a great thing that's happening for our country. This is a great day for him. It's a great day for everybody. This is a great day for everybody. This is a great, great day.
3.5 years of data is now in. He hasn't done anything really to help those people. Can't have like somebody, a racist, be the president of the United States. It's not a good look for a country whose first name is United. You can't have somebody that divisive.
His actions are very clear, and to me, he only seems to pick on black people in lots of issues. He certainly uses terminology and language that racists use.
He's not a racist. He's not complicated enough to be a racist. Racists have views, have theories. Hitler had a whole theory of why the Jews were bad and the Germans were good, and it was all balderdash and nonsense, but it was an idea, it was a worldview.
If you think that any of this is based on philosophical or more abstract thinking on Trump's part, I think you're giving him too much credit.
U Portlandu policajci bez znački i ikakvog znakovlja iskaču iz neoznačenih vozila u novim novcatim kaki uniformama. Blokiraju grad i bez ovlaštenja lokalnih vlasti brutalno i nasilno rastjeruju aktiviste pokreta i crni životi vrijede. Zapovjedi dobivaju izravno iz Washingtona od Donalda Trumpa.
You never operate from a standpoint of weakness against crime. You have to have the stronger hand.
Grad Kenosha u Wisconsinu potresaju bijesni prosvjedi nakon što je policija nastrijelila mladog Afroamerikanca Jacoba Blakea. Situacija je krajnje napeta. Malo prije ponoći začuli su se pucnjevi. 17-godišnji adolescent, samoproglašeni militant i fanatik oružja, ubio je dvojicu prosvjednika. U nastavku pohoda zaustavila ga je policija.
With Kenosha, Donald Trump, he should have denounced the shooter. He's absolutely empowered white supremacists. Donald Trump is looking like the grand master of the Ku Klux Klan. He empowers them.
There has been a whiff of fascism in the air here in the United States. It is a path to darkness. We were witnessing the dawn of an ultra-nationalist movement. Political rhetoric that is just unusual to the average American has become commonplace and normalized. You are pulling the wool over your own eyes. You're turning a blind eye to things if you don't recognize what we're witnessing, what we're seeing with our own eyes.
This is not America. This is not what America was supposed to be. It's not what it says in our doctrines.
What we've witnessed over the last 4 years is we've seen nastiness and cruelty sanitized and normalized in this country. You know, for some reason, it's become okay for some Americans to see little Latin American children locked up in cages down on the border.
Mjesec dana nakon pobjede na izborima, Donald Trump započeo je gradnju zida koji će dijeliti SAD od Meksika, uz granicu koja se proteže na više od 3000 km. Bilo je to jedno od njegovih izbornih obećanja.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime, they're rapists.
Tisuće imigranata koje pokušavaju ilegalno ući u Sjedinjene Države zaustavljaju i zadržavaju u prihvatnim centrima. Trump primjenjuje politiku nulte tolerancije. 2000 djece, sve maloljetnici, razdvojeno je od roditelja.
My mind goes to the children that Donald Trump is keeping in cages. When you think about this, I think about the separations of families. I think about how un-American Donald Trump has made America.
Anybody who knows anything about children or has children understands that this will have permanent, life-altering effects on these children. Permanent. This is a trauma that doesn't go away.
Donald Trump predviđa golemu posjećenost svojega prvog skupa od početka pandemije. No pojavljuje se 6000 ljudi u dvorani predviđenoj za 20.000 sudionika. Zanimljivo, Trump odabire glazbu iz filma Titanic.
Joe Biden is not the leader of his party. Joe Biden is a helpless puppet of the radical left.
And he's an unbelievable communicator. Okay, he speaks with a third grade linguistic quality, and he's got probably a third or fourth grade vocabulary, but he is an unbelievable communicator. He has a blunt force level of communication where people will watch him. There was a time we were in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We had just finished the rally, came up the steps of the plane, and as he was taking his coat off, he looked over at me. He said, "Hey, Scaramucci, you want to see my speech?" And I looked at him. I said, "Yeah, okay, Mr. Trump, I'd like to see your speech." So he reached into the coat, and he took out a piece of paper. There were 4 words on the paper scribbled in his cardiac arrest handwriting. And you see that? That was my whole speech. You see that? This is what the American people want.
Don't you understand, you dumb son of a bitch? Don't you understand?
You know, when God was producing Donald Trump and they were going down the buffet table to pick up the different genes, they left out the shame genes, man. There's no shame in this guy's game.
There's a large group of Americans who love him, just love him, think he is the greatest thing that has ever happened to America. Those people will never abandon him.
And currently it's something around 40% of the population, which is incredibly awful.
Joe Biden, demokratski kandidat koji će se sučeliti s Trumpom u studenome za kandidata za potpredsjednika, odabire je Kamalu Harris. Majka joj je Indijanka, otac je Jamaikanac. Ona je prva crnkinja nominirana za potpredsjednicu Sjedinjenih Država.
Donald Trump has already started his attacks, calling Kamala, quote, nasty, whining about how she is, quote, mean to his appointees. It's no surprise, because whining is what Donald Trump does best, better than any president in American history.
This virus has impacted almost every country, but there's a reason it has hit America worse than any other advanced nation. It's because of Trump's failure to take it seriously from the start.
From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to sky.
Dok se demokratski skup podržava virtualno, bez fizičke publike, republikanci stoje pred tisućama pristaša naguranima u vrtove Bijele kuće. Presedan u povijesti Sjedinjenih Država i zanemarivanje tradicije.
Joe Biden is weak. And violence we have seen in Democrat-run cities all, like Kenosha, Minneapolis, Portland, Chicago, and New York, and many others, Democrat-run. There is violence and danger in the streets of many Democrat-run cities throughout America.
Sadly, I do believe that Donald Trump has a chance of getting elected. His poll numbers most recently are starting to increase.
He just shouldn't be president. He's a danger to the American civilization and the global civilization as president.
Well, nothing lasts in life, even the bad things. But 8 years of this president, particularly an unhinged, re-elected Donald Trump, who would feel validated not only in his policies, but in his manner. A man who has reduced presidential rhetoric to name-calling and 280-character tweets, the coarseness, the vulgarity, the childishness of it all. And 8 years of this would have so coarsened American discourse. And re-election would have so validated a kind of gangster approach to public life.
I wish that we could speak to the 180,000 people that Donald Trump allowed to die. His incompetence has led to American deaths. If he would have gotten a hold on this virus, on the coronavirus, in December when the world knew about it, even if he would have acted a few weeks faster, it would have changed things.
I think the effects of this many people dying in short time period will be with us for decades. And it is a national moment of shame because most of these deaths were preventable, and yet we let it happen.
I think he has done major, probably permanent damage to the country, or damage that will at least last a long time.
Rebuilding that is going to be the work of a generation. It's amazing the damage you can do in 4 years. It will take 4 times 4 to correct.
Okay, this guy shouldn't be president. We've got 3.5 years of data. He's Looney Tunes. Let's find him a different job. But president is not the right job for him.
A lot of people who should vote Republican either will stay home or vote for Biden or vote for somebody else, not because they've changed philosophically, but because they see Trump as a failed president.
We have to stop him. And so, listen, I mean, I hope we can. I mean, it's going to be a close election.
In the best possible world, we would all learn from this, and we would never allow someone like Donald Trump to be elected again. We'll see what happens.
Are you a good loser?
I'm not a good loser. I don't like to lose.
Are you suggesting that you might not accept the results of the election?
I have to see. Look, I have to see. No, I'm not going to just say yes. I'm not going to say no. And I didn't last time either.
There is the real potential that if he loses re-election, that he will declare the results illegitimate.
Because he'll still be president the day after the election. And the president has a lot of power.
What's stopping him from referring to fake election results and just not leaving the White House? We haven't been through a situation like that in this country. What do we do?
I'm confident that that will happen, that he will not stay, and that Republicans in particular will say we do not accept any possibility that he would try to hang on.
And on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your response to this crisis?
I'd rate it a 10. I think we've done a great job.
When we saw those images of the president and he's getting off of Marine One on the south lawn of the White House, hand looking defeated, to me that was a sneak preview of coming attractions. That may be what he looks like on election night.